and we're looking through the trunk, we're looking in the backseat, I'm looking around, and I'm like, I think I left it in the first rental car. So I'm trying to stay calm because it's not just a sweatshirt, right? It's something that I made. Hey everyone, it's Natalie, also known as Knitty Natty. Welcome to episode 243 of the Love in Stitches podcast. Happy September. As I'm recording this, it is September 1st, and I feel like my Instagram feed is full of fall things. Fall, Halloween, all of the things. And today it's actually kind of a rainy, soft sort of a day here in Nashville, Tennessee at my parents' house. And it's feeling very much like I am mentally ready for fall. We've just come from a place that was very warm and very tropical. It is also very warm here in Tennessee. So obviously summer is not over yet, but I have been hearing that there's been some snow in different areas of the US. So I'm like, okay, I am ready. I am ready for fall. I've been knitting for fall. I'm making hats right now. I'm making a t-shirt, I guess. So I don't know how you're feeling. I feel like there's two camps, people who are like holding on to summer. School has started here in Tennessee. School started in a lot of places, but I know for a lot of people, school will start this following week after Labor Day. So is that the marker of fall for you, or is it September 21st, or when the weather starts to get cold? What actually feels like fall to you if you're a fall person? We're getting ready to get some Halloween decorations for Lydia. We're getting back into the van on Friday of this week. So it's an exciting time heading out on our last leg of our journey in the van. So yeah, I'm back in Tennessee for a couple of days, a little more than a couple of days. We got back on Saturday at like 12:30 in the morning, and we will be here through Thursday, and then we're back in our van on Friday. So I'm getting very excited for that. Need a couple of days to kind of recoup, get back used to this time zone and everything, and then we're going to take off and be ready to go. Before we get into today's episode, I would love to share with you what I've been learning on Craftsy. Craftsy is an online community and resource where thousands of crafters, makers, and DIY enthusiasts find creative inspiration, advance their skills, and learn new ones along the way. Craftsy offers over 2,000 exciting classes in 20 popular categories like knitting and crochet, quilting, weaving, sewing, painting, baking, and so many more. Last week, I watched an entire class all about sheep shearing. And obviously I don't have any sheep right now, but I don't know, maybe I could in the future. But what captivated me with this class was the teacher, Craig, showed the whole process from shearing the sheep to then processing the yarn by hand with hand tools, all the way to spinning and then knitting a hat. He even shared how he has that connection throughout the project of actually raising the sheep and taking it all the way through to a finished item. And he shared a story about how he, this is so cute, like this part really got me. He gifts his daughter socks every year for Christmas. And until they had this farm, they were just buying the socks. And last year he was actually able to gift her socks made from a sheep that she loves. And I don't know, I just could not stop watching. So yeah, sometimes I'm watching Craftsy just like TV, but other times I'm getting on there to learn. And what's up next for me is Knitting with Beads by Laura Nelkin. I've shared some classes of hers before. She's a fantastic teacher, and I am actually planning a design for later this year that has beads in it, but you didn't hear that from me. Craftsy brings in the experts, so all you have to do is sit down with your computer and you get to enjoy these really easy to follow, broken down lessons that you can do at any time of your day from anywhere. The first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in the video description will get a full year of premium membership to Craftsy for only $1.49. Thank you so much to Craftsy for being a returning supporter of the podcast, and now let's get into the episode. I have a finished object to share with you. I'm so delighted to have this project finished. I did, in the back of my mind, was hoping that I would have 2 FOs this week, but I've hit snags actually with a lot of my projects. I'm feeling like a little bummed right now because yesterday I barely even really knit because all my projects just are at sort of a stopping point, and one of them I finished. But don't you hate that when you're getting, you're enjoying your knitting or your crochet, and then one project has something, a resistance point, whether it's you're not feeling it, or it has something new for you to learn, you run out of yarn, whatever it is, and then you go to another project and then it hits a resistance point or a stopping point. And so I've been feeling kind of bummed by that. But this is a cycle of knitting. It will pass. So I mean, looking back at what I've done this week, I've still gotten some stuff done. So I finished Kent's Musselburgh hat. It is not yet blocked. I do need to block it still, but it fits him and it looks really, really good. So last week I shared that I didn't have enough yarn to make it fold up as I was hoping to. So I've made Kent a few Musselburgh hats just like this one. I mean, not just like it, it's obviously a different color, but the same length. So the way this will be worn, it will not fold up, it will not be slouchy like on him. It's fully flush with the crown of his head. It's very much fitted. So it doesn't have any of those like extra things. I've done different stuff with his hats in the past. I've done stripes, I've done different colors. So this one is just one color throughout. It is going to match some of his friends that he will see at Rhinebeck. Basically, this is Kent's Rhinebeck hat that he will wear as long as it's cold enough to do so. So I was planning to make it about 6 inches longer than this. That's kind of what I figured I need in order to have a fold-up brim. I could have had enough yarn to make it a little bit longer, but not 6 inches longer. So I do have my leftover yarn here, and as you can see, I still have a good amount. Like, I definitely didn't use it all. I also brought my scale in here because I do have a couple of different things to weigh. If I had brought my scale on our trip that we just got back from, I might have been able to do a little more, honestly, with both projects, but I didn't have it with me. So note to self, bring your scale. I have a really tiny one, it's not in this room, that's like probably about from here to here. It's really small, totally could have brought that with me, but I just didn't. It's so funny how often I need a scale when knitting. So let's see how much is left over. Honestly, I feel like this is almost like 30 grams. I might have been okay. Oh, it's not actually, 23.6. So about 20 grams left over. And I don't think that would have done it. I did some like guesstimating math. And so I used what, 77 grams in total here. And in order to make it 6 inches longer, I think I was estimating I would need 30 to 35 grams to make it longer. So could I have made it longer than this? Yes, but I don't think it would have been long enough to be the style that I wanted it to be. And a couple of you gave me some really great solutions. Because this hat folds up inside itself, and because it's the same color on both sides, it's very unlikely that Kent's going to be flipping this around. Like, there's no, when you make a 2-colored one, you want it to look really uniform on both sides so that you can wear it either way. But for this one, it wouldn't have mattered. You could have made one part the inside and just left it the inside and never seen it. So I could have used a different yarn to extend the length of it. And I may be regretting a little bit that I didn't do that. I also could have, because I'm making this with friends, I have friends that have this yarn. And so one of them said, I'll have some extra left over if you want it. And so I toyed with that idea. Now I'm realizing if she had about 20 grams left over and I have about 20 grams, more than 20 grams left over, I actually could have made this long enough. And here's the thing, I still can. I can go back, I can take out the last crown, I can add 6 more inches and then reknit the crown, and that would be fine. So that's a possibility. The other thing though that I was considering is I really like how this yarn knit up. This is Bumblebee Acres, by the way. See how it did pull, like it did that kind of spiral self-striping thing, or not self-striping, that kind of like spiraling thing. And I really like that. So if I were to even add it back in the yarn that I used, it would have broken that patterning to it. And so even if I were to add in my friend's yarn, that's the same yarn, it would have broken the patterning. It would have been on the inside of the hat, I know, but I didn't want to risk that. So the one other thing that made me kind of decide to just finish things where it was, when I start the hat, and I have a tutorial for this, I do, what is it called? Oh, I'm going to forget what it's called. It's like a crochet cast on, and it's a little bit loose. So I really prefer having this part, the start, be the inside, and having this part, and it looks a little pointy now because I haven't blocked it, but having this part with the decreases and where I can close it up like really, really tight, be the outside. So because of that, knowing that if I added in even the same color and it would change the patterning, I would want that part to be the outside. So I really didn't want that either. And then the last factor is I was really close to finishing it at this length, and I'm like, ooh, I can finish this and be done. That was also very motivating. So anyway, I wanted to share all of those things as just sharing all the thoughts that went through my head. Also, thank you for your tips and your help. Those were really great solutions. And then just kind of explain why I didn't pick that. Also, just talking with Kent, when I was first starting this hat, I had to kind of convince him to let me try doing the fold up brim. So like originally, this is how he wanted the hat, at the same length as his other ones. And so I was like, you know, now that I'm kind of pivoting to making it shorter, he started actually wanting it to be longer. And I'm like, you remember when we first started this? When I first started this and you actually wanted it the other length, would you be okay with that still? And so he kind of, he's happy. Honestly, he's very flexible with me and what I'm making him, but I still want it to be something he likes, you know? So he was like, you know what? It's fine. Make it shorter, and then the next one can be longer. So for the next one, I will need to plan accordingly and maybe get some extra yarn. I guess I'll still have those same sorts of issues. I guess it's not that bad to have the cast on part on the outside. I don't know. I just kind of prefer the look of the decreases too, because they kind of stand out. See how it makes like a nice little 4-stitch sort of a thing. And it does the same on the increase side. It's just a little softer. Actually, honestly, they both look good. It's really not that big of a difference. So here's the starting point and what I like to have as the inside. And then here's the finishing point. Honestly, I'll have to look at my other hats to see if I even do actually wear them that way or not. Okay, there's a chance that I will take some of this out and add length to it. I'll talk with Kent one more time about it and just see what he wants. But for now, it's an FO. When we left almost 3 weeks ago to go to Seattle and then Alaska and then Hawaii, I only brought 2 projects with me, and I almost brought an extra skein of yarn for socks. I have this really beautiful Pretty Twisted Yarns Hawaii yarn that I wanted to bring with me, and it just wasn't fitting in my bag. And I thought realistically, I'm not going to finish these projects, so I really don't need that extra skein. I always bring that, like, if I run out of all my yarn and I need to cast on another project, I've never once used that extra skein. This was the trip that I would finally actually need it. And it's because both of my projects sort of got cut short from what I planned to do. So the hat, I had planned to work on it for a little bit longer, make it actually longer. And that didn't end up happening. And then my top that I'm going to show next, I ran out of yarn for the main color, so I couldn't continue on. So I think it was a good plan in theory. And if everything had gone right with my projects, I would have had plenty of knitting to do. But I really only ran out on the travel day home. So I feel like I did pretty good estimating the amount of knitting that I would need. So I don't know, maybe bringing that extra skein would not have been a bad idea. What I ended up doing instead is I finished the crown of the hat on our first flight back. And then we had a little bit of a layover and then one more flight to get back here to Nashville. So on that last flight, it wasn't even the full travel day. It was the very last flight. I had no knitting to do. I couldn't work on my sweater. I'd cast off my hat. But what I did have on me was the yarn that I bought in Alaska. And so I cast on, and I have not done much because my hands were starting to hurt. It was getting late, but I have started a Musselburgh hat for myself. Will that even focus? Oh my goodness. There we go. So, oh man, really doesn't want to focus. It's so fuzzy. So this I am so excited about, and probably also another motivating factor to make the decision to finish that hat at the shorter length so that I could cast this one on. So I got this yarn in Alaska. This hat is going to have two different colors. So this one is the lining. This yarn is Kiviet, which is muskox, and it is very, very soft and supposedly very, very warm. What I'm learning about this yarn now is it is a little difficult to work with. So if you've ever made one of these hats, you know they're a little tricky to start. You're starting with a really small circumference, only 8 stitches, and then you're figuring out how to do the increases and getting the stitch markers, and it's finicky at the beginning, but then once you get to about this point, it gets a lot easier. So it's already tricky. Then add in this yarn. This yarn is so fine. I don't know, it's knitting up pretty nicely as maybe a fingering weight, but I think it's a little smaller. I think it's more like a lace weight yarn, and I wanted to weigh it to see, because I know it's 200 yards, so I'm confident I have plenty to do. Just under half of this hat. Basically, I want it to be the lining, so I want it to go from my crown to my ears, and then I'm going to pick up with another yarn that will be the outside. So let's weigh this. I think it's going to be a little hard to tell because I have the ratios of sock yarn and yardage, like generally in my head. Sock yarn typically is somewhere between 420 to 463 yards for a lot of the skeins that I buy, and it will be 100 grams. So this one is 200 yards, and it is 32 grams. So you would think that a fingering weight would be 200 yards and like 50 grams. So I think that means that this is a little bit finer than that, but I also don't really know the properties of muskox and how that like differentiates it. So who knows? Because I think, what is it? Mohair silk is 25 grams or 50. Now I can't remember. It's 50 grams and like 400 yards or something. I don't know. Everything's a little bit different. So I'm not really sure. I could probably do more research and figure that out, but I was curious about how much this weighed versus its yardage. So I do think it's finer than fingering weight. So that already adds to the trickiness. Then it is very fuzzy. So I'm having a hard time reading my stitches and seeing like, have I done an increase row? Am I ready to do a plain row? Or did I do, like, what have I done? And it's been hard to see. It is getting a little bit easier, but it's tricky right now. I'm hoping it will be easier once I get all my increases done and I'm just working round and round on a 16-inch needle. But for now, doing magic loop, with it being so delicate, it's like, it's pulling my stitches a lot. Like, I don't know. I'm having a little bit of a hard time adjusting to it. And I can't say too much because I've only done this. I feel like I have to give myself more time to kind of get accustomed to everything. So still very soft, but I really wanted to like go in just loving the experience. And right now I'm a little bit cautious of it. So I'll update you next week. I'm sure it's all going to be fine, but I just wanted to share that as a sort of an expectation management thing. Like, it might be a little bit tricky to get used to at first, but hoping it all is worth it at the end, and I'm loving this hat. So this will be the lining. And then I have another Alaska yarn that is a much more familiar base, although I'm not sure I've actually worked with yak before. This is a yak sock. So it has 70% superwash merino, 20% yak, and 10% nylon. But just at first glance, it's much more familiar for me. So once I get to working with this yarn, it's all going to be fine. But I think these will be beautiful together. You won't see them together because, again, lining, and then this will be the rest of it. But I'm planning to make the lining to the ears, and then I will do a brim hat. So I will then pick up this yarn. I will do about 6 inches that will fold up into the brim, and then another set that will go up to here. So in between the crowns for me, I usually end up with about 19 inches, and I try to keep all this information in my project pages for the different hats. But I only have made them for myself and for Kent, so it's just our measurements in there. But that's the plan so far. So before we leave on Friday, I need to get this yarn wound up, I need to get this into a different project bag because right now it's in my hiking bag, but there's no way I could hike with this yarn. It's just, I have to pay too much attention to it. It's also quite slippery. So it's kind of slipping off my metal needles. Maybe I should switch to DPNs, my wooden DPNs. I might actually enjoy that more just as a texture combination thing. Just, it will give me more grip. And also I will have more contrast with the color. So I might try that. I know that it's not usually a good idea to change your needles in the middle of a project because your materials affect the way that you will knit. But for me, I'm just started, and I think this is just about finding the right match for me. So I think I'll be okay if I switch. Even if things get a little bigger, that wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing. This is going to be a bit of trial and error. I haven't tried switching up the yarn type on a Musselburgh yet, but I will keep you posted and let you know how it goes. Excellent news, my new yarn is here for my color tip tee. Okay, so let's just backtrack a little bit. So I am making the color tip tee, hold on, it's very wrinkly. Shake this thing out. I am making the color tip tee by Emily Curtis. I am using Farmer's Daughter Fibers Sue Copy, which is a lovely single ply Rambouillet base, and I love it so much. And Rambouillet is just a type of sheep. So it's a non-superwash yarn, and I'm really liking the yarn a lot. It's really nice. It gives really excellent stitch definition, and you can see so much better in the camera than in person. I feel like the camera picks it up a little bit better, but there's a lot of variety in the color. You can see it kind of looks stripy, so I'm kind of digging that. I like it a lot. So what happened here? I have been working on this for the past 3 to 4 weeks, and I've been so pleased with how it's going. But somewhere around finishing the second sleeve, I was getting a little suspicious about my main color, that I was not going to have enough. I have 3 skeins of main color and then 1 of each of these contrast colors, which I have plenty of because it doesn't use a lot of yarn to do the ribbing. And my bottom ribbing is also going to be this brown. So I'm excited for that. And then I will put a pocket in it. So I was getting pretty suspicious with my main color. At some point, I finished the second ball of my 3 balls of yarn, and I was only to like right here on the body, maybe like, I don't know, 3.5 to 4 inches in. What that told me is that I was not going to have enough with the yarn that I had, because my 3rd ball of yarn, I made both sleeves, and then I was expecting to get, or needing to get, another 4.5 to 5 inches out of the body and a pocket. And I'm like, there's just no way. So even without my scale, I was able to deduct that I was going to run out of yarn. And this is what I've got left. So yesterday, I knit to my marker, I weighed my yarn, took a picture. I like to take a picture instead of writing it down because then it's like undeniable what the scale says. I knit 1 round and then I weighed it again, and then I found the difference, right? Basically, I'm trying to figure out how many grams does it take to make 1 round. And I got a number that seems way too large. I got like 4 grams. Like, how does it take 4 grams of yarn to make 1 row? So I feel like that's not right. So I need to do it again, but my brain's just not there yet in order to calculate that. I really only want to know because I was just curious if I could actually get another 2 inches out of this, but I'm thinking not going to happen because that's about where I am right now. I need another 2.5 inches. I also need to try this on. Too many things for my brain to handle at the moment, but I do have a whole nother skein of yarn, so I'm not going to run out. I ordered this, I don't know, when did I order this? Maybe a week ago, maybe less than a week. It came really, really fast. It's of course a little bit different, which makes perfect sense because I bought these 3 skeins in May and now it is September and I ordered another skein of this color. They're really similar, but this one just seems a little bit lighter actually when I kind of hold it in natural light. So my plan is to alternate between this ball and my new ball to kind of blend it into the bottom. I'm hoping it's not too different. I won't really know until I get to knitting it. So those are just some barriers in the way right now. I want to know how many grams it takes to do 1 round. So I need to redo that. And then I need to wind this. I need to incorporate them in. I need to try this on. It's not really all that big of a deal, but just things that I need to do. I would like to finish this before we leave on Friday, which leaves me about 4 days to get it done, almost exactly 4 days. So if I can get the body and the ribbing done in the next 2 days, I can then block it. And I always like to block a sweater before I do the final bind off, because what I've done, I can't remember if I shared this last week, I did a lovely twisted rib, like sewn stretchy bind off that I learned from the last sweater I completed. I think it was the last one, my twisted t-shirt. Brianna Lupino, the Little Wolf Knits, has a tutorial on how to do the twisted, what is it called? The tubular bind off, but with twisted rib. And it looks so good in this yarn. I also think I've gotten a little better at it since the last sweater that I did. At first it was very difficult for me to do, but now I'm a little bit more skilled with it. So I am planning to do that on the bottom, but it takes a long time and I don't want to do the twist, that whole sewn bind off, realize my sweater is too long or too short and have to take it back and have to unpick that or cut it off. So I'm going to do the ribbing. I'll try it on, I'll do the ribbing, I will block it with it on a tube. I'll try it on again, and if I'm happy with it, then I will go ahead and bind it off. The other reason I want to block it before I'm totally done is I want to be really accurate with my pocket placement. There's some like indications of where to place it, but ultimately it's up to me. So I want to have it blocked so I can know exactly where it's falling. As you can see, I like to wear little pocket tees, so I will be kind of figuring out where to place the pocket. Actually, I might do it a little more in and higher. I feel like it needs to be like here. I don't know. Well, I'll figure it out then. But now I have plenty of yarn to do that. So I only got about, 2 inches maybe done this week, which has probably happened way towards the beginning of last week, but I had to wait on my yarn and I will be up and rolling again, I think starting tomorrow. My brain is not ready for it today. As it's the end of a month and the start of a new one, I've received some goodies in the mail that I would like to share with you. The first one is going to be the Woolen Women yarn box for October. These are available to order right now through September 22nd, but you will see the items when you order. It's not like a surprise box or anything, but if you are somebody who has a subscription to them and you just receive them every month and get the surprise then, this is your warning to look away for the next few minutes because I am going to be showing the October box. They've sent it to me for preview and to share with you, so thank you so much to Andrea and Sam. I love getting this every single month. It is so fun and always on theme. So this one, last chance to go away. This is called a Woolen Halloween Town, and I've got the full box. There's a basic box that has just the yarn and the bag, I think, and the stitch markers, but this one has all the different accessories. So it's like a full immersion experience of this particular theme. So let's start with the yarn. It is so fun and so perfect for October. It is called Halloween Town and has a little mini in it. You can get fingering weight or DK. You just let them know if you want DK. The default is fingering weight. I think I want to show you the stitch markers next. These are Sam's stitch markers and they go with the yarn really, really well. There's a little black cat and then a witchy hat that keeps turning around on me. Let's see. Can you see? It's got a pumpkin on it and a little purple flower. Yeah, it's so cute. And I like that they come on these open and closed rings because you can use them for knitting, you can use them for crochet, you can use them as progress creepers. It makes it really, really nice. There are 2 lovely scented items in this box. One is a candle. And where did I put my notes here? It comes with a little card that tells you all the ingredients. So if you have any like issues or any allergies, you'll know ahead of time. So the soy wax candle is caramel apple. Looks like this. And it smells like caramel apple. Like, did anyone used to sell candles when you were in elementary school or middle school? It's kind of like that, like the really nice ones. It smells so, so good. They also have a lanolin wool wash bar, and look at the shape of it this month. It's a leaf and it's toasted marshmallow. It also smells very, very good. And these work awesome. I haven't used this one yet. Obviously just pulled it out. But I have used some of their past ones and they work great for blocking and washing your makes. Then there is a fun notebook, which is great because I actually kind of need a notebook. I'm almost done with mine. So cute little notebook, little sparkly gold lined notebook. I also like that it has this because then you can like lay it flat, like if you're making knitting plans or whatever. And then the last thing in here is a tote bag. And it says Woolen Witch. How cute is that? For all your Halloween makes. So that is the October box. Again, you can order through September 2nd at woolenwomenfiber.com. I've also got a link down below if you want to use that. Okay, my other subscription that has come in is my, I was going to say book of the month because it's also BOK, my blanket of knowledge, my blanket of the month. This is from Hot Springs Fiber Co. and this is August. I get these a little bit later just because I am always somewhere where I can't get mail. So I get them to my parents' house. So the exciting thing about this is there is a new color that you can choose from. So Tracy has 8 different like colored themes. I got the one that's pink. It's called Serenity. It's always going to be pinks or browns or light colors. So mine is very cohesive, but some of the other ones have a lot of variety in color. There was one that was all blues. There was one that like changed color every month. So you get to choose based on what you want your blanket to look like. And you pick that and it just stays, you just get the next color and the next color each month. So there's a new color that just got added. We'll put it up here because I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head. But if you were looking at the other ones and you're like, not really sure if I like those, there's a brand new one. So this is August and I get the sport weight version. You can also choose DK and you can also choose knitting or crochet. And I'm doing the crochet one. So every month you get yarn, you get a pattern. If it's your first month, you also get a crochet hook or knitting needles, and then you get a mini. This is to go, if you're doing the strip that goes in between, or I will use this to join because I am doing the squares. And then it looks like we also got some little pouches. These are always good to put different things in. I got a small one and a bigger one. Awesome. I love these. I need to get back on mine because I started July's, I think. Yeah, that was the previous month. And then I kind of fell off of things with going on a trip. So now that we're back in the van, I can get back on it. Last thing here, oh gosh, tip my chair over. I have received some bags as a gift from one of my Love and Stitches members, Susie, and she has started a new online Etsy business and sent me some bags to share. I'm also going to be giving these away to our Love and Stitches members, but I thought I would show them to you before I do that. So she's working on a fall collection here, and this one is for me. Oh, by the way, her business is called Huckleberry Girl Handmade. So I love this fabric. It's got little campers and little cars and foresty. So this one she said she made for me, and I'm definitely going to use this and keep this. I love it. It's a really good size. Probably going to put in my sweater whip into here because this to me feels very summer and I'm like ready to move into fall. So this is a little more earthy, fall time. Oh my gosh, I'm getting dog hair. I'm covered in dog hair right now. It also has 3 pockets on the inside. So these are always so hard to show, but there's 2 pockets here on this side. And then there's like a really long pocket. Almost seems like you could slip your phone in there. Let me see. I do like a project bag that I can kind of turn into a purse, like if I'm going to the movies or something. Okay. I have a big phone with a case on it and it just fit into there. So that's actually really, I don't know if that's the purpose of that one. It could be for scissors, but that's actually pretty darn nice. It also has little D-ring in there on the inside. You can clip, scissors or stitch markers, and then it's got a nice long handle. So very, very nice. So I'm going to be hanging on to this one. Thank you, Susie. Then there's also some other styles. So this is going to be for one of my Love and Stitches members. Again, it's got a nice big handle on it. Let's see. Oh, this one has a pocket in it as well. I always find that nice. You know, if you have little accessories or something, sometimes they'll get tangled around your yarn. So nice to have that. And then she's also got a drawstring bag. Looks like this. And how fun is this fabric? So this also is a little bit of a preview. She should have these coming to her shop soon, but I will make sure to, it's very nice. I will make sure to link Woolen Women and Hot Springs Fiber Co. for the blanket, and also Huckleberry Girl. Let me make sure I say this right. Huckleberry Girl Handmade, all down below if you see something that you like. So that's what's coming for me this week. Let's talk about what's been going on in the last week. And also, wait, first I want to share with you the videos that have come out, because we've had another yarn store tour at Slip Knits, and then coming up this Saturday, we are going to continue our yarn store tour premiere. So if you haven't joined us for a Saturday yet, come and join me 12 p.m. Eastern time, which is 9 a.m. Pacific time, and join me for our premieres. They're different every single week. We go to a different store. You get to travel with me, and our tours are previously recorded and edited and everything, you know, so they're nice and concise. But it plays live, meaning that if you join any time between when I have it set to start at 12 and when it finishes, you watch it at the same time as everybody else. After that, you just can watch it like normal. But it's fun because we have a live chat and we get to kind of check in with each other, see where everyone's watching from, you know, share what projects we're working on for the week. And then I'm also available to answer questions. If you see something in the video that I don't touch on, I can share that with you because I was there for it. So coming up this Saturday, we're going to the other side of South Dakota. So we were in the western part of South Dakota for Slip Knits. Now we're traveling to the eastern part of South Dakota to go to Prairie Road Yarn. This is a pretty new yarn store, and it's a lovely, lovely place. The day that we were there filming, she was teaching a blocking class, like how to block your different items, and that was really cool because we film before stores open typically, almost 100% of the time. And then she had a class coming in like right when the store opened. So then as we were finishing up all of our filming, you know, getting all the close-up shots of the yarns and everything, we got to overhear her class and see some of the people that come in, and it was really cool. So if you're in, oh, now I'm going to forget what city it is. Well, I'll have it on the tour for sure. But if you're in the eastern part of South Dakota, it's a big city. I can't remember off the top of my head, but make sure to check out this store, and if you haven't already, since it is a newer one. Okay, so then what's been going on this week? Oh, I've all been out of shape today. I just shared with you coming up instead of in our travels. Well, I don't know what you're going to do with that, but you can fix it however you want to. We're just going to go right into in our travels. Oh my gosh. I'm a mess. Okay, so let's talk about what's happened over the last week. We started out our week in Hawaii. We were in Hawaii last week as well, but we were on our final island, the Big Island, which is also the island of Hawaii. And we got to do a couple of fun things, but first we had some mishaps. So we get in, we fly, you have to fly we flew from Maui to the Big Island, and we went to pick up our rental car. We drove about 10 minutes down the road, and the alignment was off. Like the steering wheel was like this to keep the car going straight. And so Kent was like, I don't know, should I go back? We were going to do a lot of driving on the Big Island, so we decided it was worth going back and getting a different car just for convenience and also just for safety in case that was going to cause an issue. So we went back, we told them what was happening, and we got another car. We moved our stuff from one car to the other. Maybe you can see where this is going. Then we get about 30 minutes down the road this time, and I finally cooled off. Like the air conditioner has cooled me off. I reach into the back seat to get my sweater, my traveler, that I recently finished knitting, and it's not there. And I'm like, huh. I remember putting it in the back seat, like distinctly, because I bring my knitting with me in my water bottle into the front. I put my luggage in the back, like in the trunk, because I'm not going to need it. And then I put my snacks and my sweater in the back seat because I don't need them right now, but I might want them later. So I distinctly remember putting my sweater on the back seat. So I'm like, Kent, I need to look for my sweater. So he pulls over and we're looking through the trunk. We're looking in the back seat. I'm looking around and I'm like, I think I left it in the first rental car. So I'm trying to stay calm because it's not just a sweatshirt, right? It's something that I made. And I'm like, it is what it is. If this thing is lost, if it's gone, like if somebody else has already come and rented the car, they've probably taken it with them unknowingly, and like it had a good life. Like I really enjoyed wearing that sweater. And so I'm just trying to tell myself that I really enjoyed knitting it. I really enjoyed wearing it. If this is the end of this sweater's time, it's okay. And so I'm trying to call the rental car place like the whole time we're going back and they're not answering. And so, we just didn't know. So we turned back around. By this point, we've driven another hour, 30 minutes out and back. I get in, the car is not where we left it. Of course, they've taken it around to hopefully do some work on it. That was kind of our saving grace, is like that car was not ready to be rented. So hopefully nobody took it. So I'm like, okay, we were just here an hour ago. This is the car. I've left a gray sweatshirt in the car. And so the person leaves, okay, I'm going to go check. So they're gone for like maybe 5 minutes and they come back holding my sweatshirt and I literally started crying. I started like tearing up. I told them, I'm like, you don't know what this means. This is not just a sweatshirt. I actually knit this myself. And normally I'm not the type of person who I'm like, oh, I made this to a non-knitting person. Of course, I'm telling other knitters and crocheters, but I was like, this feels like they need to understand what they've just done for me. And so I told them, I was like, I could cry. And I was like tearing up and Kate was waiting out in the car and I came out and I was like holding up the sweater like I had just done something great. Anyway, it was quite the start to our first evening in the Big Island. And that was not the end of it. So we're off. We've got a car that works. We've got a sweatshirt. We make our 2-hour drive to our Two Volcanoes National Park. And we had booked a place about 20 minutes from the park entrance. And so when we were getting close, Kent he was driving, he handed me his phone and he had the app pulled up with all the messages from the host and said, will you read the instructions to me on how to, get in? And so I'm reading him the instructions and then I get down to the end of like the long paragraph and there was another message that said, we have no power and no water. We can no longer rent this place to you. And I was like, Kent, did you see the last message? And he was like, what do you mean? And I'm like, we don't have a place to stay tonight. This was about 8 o'clock at night. So we were a little worried because we were somewhere that was not a very populated area. And there were some hotels, but the hotels in Hawaii are so expensive. So we were just not sure what we're going to do. It actually ended up working out great though. I got on to Google Maps and I just found a B&B somewhere about 20 minutes away from where we currently were. And I called them and I said, do you have a room tonight? And she was like, yeah, I've got a room. When will you be here? And I'm like, be there in 20 minutes. How much does it cost? She told us it was like significantly cheaper than the hotels. And the reviews on Google were pretty good. There weren't a lot of them, but we just kind of went, okay, this is what we're going to have to do. We've been through a lot of different scenarios. We're pretty adjustable now, even if the accommodations are not like whatever, a hotel standard. We're pretty adjustable. We can do this. So we get there and it was actually such a fantastic place to stay. So basically it was this couple, they have kind of a smaller house in the back and a larger house in the front that has 3 bedrooms, a big living room, a kitchen, and they were building like a ginormous hot tub. It wasn't ready yet. It's actually going to be ready like this week. And they just do this as like a retirement thing. And they were so sweet. The person who hosted us, her name is Kelly. She made breakfast for us every morning. Like it was a true B&B. The room was really nice. We ended up with a shared bathroom, but nobody was in the other room. So we got the bathroom all to ourselves, which was really nice. It was great. Like it ended up, what was kind of a stressful moment ended up being a really, really great thing. And we later found out that the room was only available because the people who were supposed to come and stay there got their flight got canceled because of weather. So we got so lucky. So anyway, I feel really grateful. It was quite the day. With the rental car and the sweater and the place to stay, and it all ended up working out great, and I just am so grateful for that. So that all happened. We did film a vlog in Hawaii, but I don't know if that story will end up in there, so there you go. That's one of the things that happened. Okay, now I'm just going to share some highlights because everything else will be in our vlog coming next week. So we went to Hawaii Volcanoes National Park, and we did an awesome hike. We hiked like around the rim of a crater and then down into the crater and across it. It was super cool. The weather was actually not unbearably hot. It was pretty nice. Kent and I both ended up getting sunburned because the sun is so strong in Hawaii and we were not prepared, even with sunscreen, but it all ended up being lovely. I did a lot of knitting while we were hiking too. Then we went to a super cool coffee shop. I think it was near Hawaii Volcanoes, but it was called Kawana, and Kent found it on Reddit or something, and it was a really interesting place. This will be in the vlog with a few more videos, but they are kind of a specialty like coffee experience. So their whole intention for you is to come in there and try different black coffee and try different varieties of coffees grown in Hawaii. I really like doing that because we were wanting to go on a like coffee not a farm, but I don't know what the right word is for it, but we never went on a tour to where they grow coffee. So this was kind of like the next best thing. And the people there ended up being really cool. So we just stayed and talked with them for a long time. It was awesome. We also saw sea turtles in a couple of different places. So that was really neat. And then the last highlight from this past week is I got to meet up with one of my Love and Stitches members and actually one of my newer members. Her name is Karen, and I got to meet her and her husband, Doug, and we went to lunch together, and it was just a lovely time. So I think it's pretty cool that I got to see members 2 times in Hawaii, which was really great. I just never thought that that would be something I would be doing with my life, and I'm so grateful that that's what we got to do. So all in all, we've had a wonderful time these past couple of weeks traveling. You know, we're always traveling. That is our life, at least for this year. But it's different when you're kind of, with our van, we have our hub, we have our home. Even though we're always in different places, we still get to come back to Lydia, which is our van. And we have Toaster with us and we have our routines. And yes, every day is different, but also there's a lot in every day that's the same. And so traveling by plane, that was another level of just kind of exhausting. Obviously so fun and so amazing. But for anyone who travels by plane for work, I just have to commend you because that takes a lot out of you. And I think that's really impressive that you can do that. But it was really fun and I'm grateful. I was grateful for the trip, but I'm very grateful to be back. Last thing here, since I already shared what's coming up in terms of videos, I have just a couple of new events that I have added. I shared all of the September events in last week's podcast, but you can find every event, everything that's current, everything that's coming up that I have on my list on my website at knittynatty.com, and then just click Yarny Events. I have been working the past few weeks to really get this, get a system for myself and get caught up on events. So I'm finally caught up. So now if you email me, which email is my preferred way, if you want to share an event with me, if you email me, that just makes it so much easier for me to be in computer mode and be able to get onto my website. It's just a logistic thing. It's okay if you don't, but I'm much more likely to get it on there quickly if it's an email. So I finally got myself caught up. Now, if you send me an email, I should pretty much be able to get it onto the website within 48 hours. So thank you for your patience as I got caught up. So 2 new ones that I want to share this week, I've just added. One's in September, so I wanted to make sure to share it. It's actually coming up next weekend, I think. Next weekend. It is Woolstock East in Nova Scotia, Canada, September 12th through the 14th. So this is a series, it's a marketplace, but also workshops put on by Sisterhood Fibers. So if that's familiar to you or in your area, I will have my events page linked below, and then you can go directly to their website from there. The other thing that I've added is SAF, which is also stands for Southeastern Animal Fiber Fair. I actually didn't know that. I've heard of SAF. I know a lot of people go to SAF. It is just like last year, it's the same weekend as Rhinebeck. So there are different vendors in both places. And SAF is in North Carolina, Fletcher, North Carolina, October 18th through the 20th. So it might be something you consider going to, especially if you're close by. Again, I have the link to all of the different events down below and to SAF specifically. So those are the 2 new ones that I added this week. If you have any to share with me, I'm ready for them now. I'm ready to add them in. So far, I just have like festivals and marketplaces on this list. But I might be open to adding in some other things like virtual events and retreats. There's a new retreat that came across my Instagram feed this week, a Hohi retreat in Argentina. It's already sold out, of course. It's gone. But I don't know. I've just been thinking about like, what would I like to do after we're done traveling? And I'm like, maybe I want to go to retreats. So I might be adding a retreat page at some point. Don't send me them yet. let me get the events down first, the marketplaces and stuff. But there might be room to add more later on. I just want it to be an easy, accessible resource that's kind of all in one place, from a third party. Like, I'm not somebody who is affiliated with any of those events, so I'm sharing it just to share the information. I've been to some, but I haven't been to most of them, so just sharing the information for you. Okay, that's everything for this week. Thanks for dealing with me being a little chattier than normal, I feel like, in the sharing stuff and getting things mixed up and sharing all of my items. I love sharing those with you. I am, honestly, from the start of this podcast to the end of it, I feel more motivated about my knitting, I think. I'm still probably going to take tonight off, which is so weird for me. I feel like that happens to me every once in a while, a couple times a year, where I just need a little break. It's not that I don't want to knit, but I don't want to knit. I want to just take a little time. You know, it doesn't feel good to force things sometimes, and that's okay. I have to remind myself that it's okay to not be constantly moving on my projects. So I think I'm going to take a little time. Don't know if it's dog hair or something else. Take a little time, take a little rest. So next week might not be the most projects that you've ever seen, but we will be back on the road. Where will we be next week? I don't know. You'll have to wait and find out, just like me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.